There's a lot of people that hate on 401ks, and not for a very good reason. If they had all the facts, they'd understand there's a lot more to the equation, and they need to understand every single fact of the game to make a qualified decision for themselves. There are pros and there's cons to every account out there, and I'm gonna walk through a video I just saw on TikTok that is misinforming so many people.
The reasons why you should avoid investing in a 401k. 401ks allow you to contribute money to a retirement plan while reducing your gross income and taxes today. It means that money is taken out of your paycheck today before income taxes are deducted. You will still owe taxes on it at some point though.
I'm gonna pause there and I'm gonna explain this piece of it because 401ks are the accounts, and then there's types of 401ks. So some 401ks, and in fact, 88% of 401ks have a Roth option within. So if you're listening to this, you likely have a pre-tax option or traditional and potentially a Roth option. He was stating that you're automatically taxed at the end. That is not the case. Traditional or pre-tax is taxed on the way out, as he's referring to. But if you have the Roth option, then money is taxed on the way in, and then therefore you have tax-free growth during, just like the pre-tax option. But on the way out, there is no tax. So understanding that key concept is very important here.
And so this is the problem, because this is the tax rate today. This was the tax rate in 1992. This was the tax rate in 2002. And this was the tax rates in 2012. And these are the projected tax rates in 2026. So what you're going to notice is your tax rates just keep going up. So if you're working today trying to save for retirement, the only thing that we do know for certain is that the tax rate 20, 30, 40 years from now is going to be much higher than it is today.
And I'm gonna pause again because that is just not factually correct. Nobody has a crystal ball. Tax rates can absolutely change based on who's in office and based on many other factors out there in the world, but there's no guarantee the tax rates go up. In the past, there's been higher tax rates than there are today. So therefore, the future does not automatically mean higher tax rates. Also, there's a lot of tax diversification planning you can do to mitigate your taxes whether or not tax rates do change, and that's a very important concept.
And you're going to be retired, so you're not going to have any business expenses anymore. At the age you're at, you're likely not going to have any dependents anymore. You're probably not going to have a mortgage deduction because you're going to have paid off your home over the last 30 years.
I'm going to stop there again because mortgage interest deduction is an itemized deduction. And if you know anything about taxes, this guy evidently does not. You understand that you are going to take the greater of the standard deduction or the itemized deduction. Now, the standard deduction will range depending on which type of tax status that you file, roughly $13,850 all the way up to $27,700 from single to married filing jointly, with married filing separately and head of household in the middle of that. I'll put that up on the screen for you to see the actual numbers for 2023 specifically. And 90% of people take the standard deduction. So the idea that this interest deduction won't be around is pretty irrelevant for, I'd say, 90% of people.
You're going to end up with all this money in a retirement account that the second that you take it out, it's going to get taxed immediately at a higher tax rate than it would have today.
Again, to follow up on 2 points here. One, he's saying you're gonna have all your money in a retirement account that's gonna be taxed at a higher rate. Again, what if you have a Roth option? There are Roth options within 401ks, IRAs, and things like that. Plus, how does he guarantee that you're gonna get taxed more? And then lastly, as a piece of this, he does not understand basic tax planning and making sure you fill up your 3 buckets: pre-tax, Roth, and taxable, so that you have tax diversification down the road and you have optionality into which accounts to pull out each time. You also aren't taxed on the full balance right at one time. It's based on how much you withdraw. And as we know, the standard deduction, let's call it married filing jointly at $27,700. If I pulled out $27,700 in retirement, that's considered income if it's pre-tax dollars. $27,700 minus that standard deduction is 0, and I have 0% tax on that. This is what he's not telling you. Not to mention, you can also take out a Roth, totally tax-free, because as you know, we talked about earlier, that money is now taken out tax-free because it was taxed on the way in. It's grown tax-free, which is the huge benefit of 401ks. He's totally not adding into the picture the tax-free growth for the 20, 30, 40 years that you have. Undeniably the best feature of this account. And then on the way out, you have to understand that some of that can be taxed, and that's okay if you pull it out in the most strategic manner, but you have to have optionality with your tax diversification plan. This is a classic fear tactic. I don't know what this guy does. I'm not picking beef with this guy. I have no idea. I came across him on TikTok. This is what a lot of people do, specifically IUL agents or insurance agents, to draw you away from a 401k and tell them how great their product is. So with that being said, 401ks are great vehicles. You have to understand what they are used for, how these things work, and why it would make sense for you. Now, I don't even recommend necessarily always maxing a 401k out. That's not my point here. My point is to say, as a piece of the puzzle with the general investing framework, this could be an excellent account. And for most Americans, this is a great account. So if you want to learn more about the framework in which I operate out of and thinking of where the 401k comes into play, click the video in the top right-hand corner and I'll give you the exact investing framework and how this comes into play. With that being said, I will talk to you next Monday.